Evening, everyone. Good evening. Sorry, good morning, everyone. Good morning, Jai Hind. So, I hope I am properly audible and visible to all of you. Good morning. Yes, I am quite good, and I hope that all of you are also doing well. Good morning. Okay, so today we are going to start first with the answer writing part. Many of you, I hope that you may have written the answers for the questions that I have provided. So, how many of you have written the answer? How many of you have written the answer? Good morning. आवाहन बैच इंग्लिश में कब आएगा? I am not having any such information about the English batch right now. Some Hindi batch have started. चलो, so let's start. Let's start with this first part. Like I have given you some questions to write. I have given you two such questions which you have to write. First part was this one. In the 21st century, economic sovereignty increasingly depends on the ability to navigate a fragmented and unstable energy world. In this context, highlight the energy challenges for India and suggest measures. So this was one of the questions. So tell me how you have started the introduction for this answer. What you have written in the introduction of this answer. I want to know that how you are thinking about it. So how you have started the introduction? Second वाला लिखा है आपने, ये क्यों नहीं लिखा? You have to write both answers. See, you have to practice two answers on daily basis now. If you are writing two answers on daily basis, so it means per week you are writing around 10 answers. Okay, on the current facts of war and sanction, both are good. Okay. So see, the first thing is current scenario. Yes, you can mention this. You can mention here about the current scenario. You can mention here about the current scenario. You can mention here about the geopolitical tension and impact on oil supply, or you can give facts with respect to India's dependence on import. So in the introduction, you can start with either of them. Okay. You can start with all three of them. This is one option for you. Okay. You can mention the current scenario also. You can mention about like the largest importer of oil and fastest growing economy. All these things can be there. All these things can be one of the option how you can start the introduction of this answer. Okay. Now the question, what is the demand of the question? If you look at the demand starts from here. Highlight the energy challenges for India and suggest measures. So there are two different demands. First thing is energy challenges for India. So you have to make the first heading the energy challenges for India. In this part, you can mention that how much import dependence we are having. Our refining capacity is quite low. Our domestic reserves are quite low. Okay. So you can mention about the domestic reserves. What is the status of domestic reserves? Okay. There are very few and many of them are still unexplored. That is one part. You can mention about this one part also that we are having lack of refining capacity. We are having the lack of refining capacity. You can also mention the lack of production of LPG. We are getting the crude oil, but we are not making LPG here. We are still dependent on other countries for supply even of LPG. So we are purchasing the raw material also. We are purchasing even the finished good also. So here you can mention about the LPG crisis also, or LPG production, that around 60% of this LPG is made through imports. Then you can also mention about dependence on certain regions. Dependence on certain regions. You can mention about increasing demand. You can mention about the increasing demand and less diversification. You can mention about this increasing demand and the less diversification also. That we are a growing economy. We have discussed all these points in the last session. That what is the challenges for India with respect to energy. So this is the first part, the energy challenges. Then similarly, you have to mention the measures. That what has to be done. What has to be done? We have already seen that what measures can be taken. We can diversify our resources. We can also go for diversifying the energy basket. Okay. The sourcing region can be diversified. Sources of energy can be diversified. We need to promote energy use efficiency. Then at the same time, we need to promote hybrids. We need to promote the hybrids also. So what measures which are there, you have to give that also. Then finally, when you are writing the conclusion, see, here you have already suggested measures. So you can give for this one part that in recent times, government has been pushing for higher ethanol blending like E85. In the recent times, the government of India has been pushing for E85 ethanol blending, as well as promotion of electric vehicles through the FAME scheme, faster adoption and manufacturing of electric vehicles. So what we see, you can mention about some government efforts in this one, like you can mention about E85, you can mention about FAME scheme. So you have already suggested the measures here, so you can highlight that the government has taken certain steps in this direction, like the FAME scheme is there, or even we are having this E85 initiative which was recently rolled out. So I hope you can write the answers accordingly. कितने लोगों का मैच कर रहा है? Very unexpected question in the prelims. Yes, prelims was quite tough. I have written only the points like this, not elaborated it. Will it be okay? If you have written in 6, 7, 8 lines also, that's also fine. Why? Because this is 150 word answer. You have to write all this thing in 150 words only. So if it was a 250 words question, then you can go in detail of it. अगर 250 words का होता तो आप डिटेल में explain करते. Otherwise, even if you are writing just point by point, then also it is sufficient. So this is one part which you have to do. The first thing is, tell me how many of you have mentioned some of the government schemes. आप में से कितने लोगों ने कुछ government schemes को mention किया है? How many of you have mentioned some of the government schemes? Shubham has mentioned, good. So keep this one thing in mind. This is one thing. Like suppose if you are asked about the measures, अगर आपको मेजर्स पूछा कि आपने मेजर्स बता दिया, then in the conclusion you can mention some of the government schemes. Okay, you can mention some of the government schemes. It will show that yes, you are connected with the theme, you are connected with the theme, you are aware about it. So while writing answer, this is something which you have to add on from your own side. देखो, in the prelims exam itself, it has been made quite much clear that you cannot just go by learning whatever is given in notes or books only. You have to do some extra, you have to do some add-on. So that's why when you are writing here, so in the conclusion itself, we have mentioned some of the government schemes. So in same manner, you can try to insert it somewhere in the, you can try to insert it somewhere in that like answer writing. Now, coming to the second part, India's green energy transition remains incomplete. Discuss. This is also something which you have to do in 150 words. So tell me how many of you have written this answer? See, we are having answer writing on daily basis, and now we are in the month of May. So in the next 1 or 2 months, we have a target that we need to again, we need to be in that track again. We need to have answer writing within 8 months. Sorry, within 8 minutes. Now this will be one target. Okay, this will be one target which we have to achieve. Okay. 150 word answer. Thinking plus writing. Thinking plus writing. All in 8 minutes. This is going to be our target. Today is 26th of May. So till 26th of June, we have to achieve this target. So now we are going further. We have to achieve this target that till 26th June, we have to ensure that we are writing the answers within 8 minutes. Thinking plus writing. Now we are going to advanced level. So what is the time which you are taking right now? अभी कितना time लग रहा है आपको? How much time you are taking right now in order to write a 150 word answer? Thinking plus writing 8 minutes. Good. There are some questions where I'm lacking to connect the content. You are asking about prelims or mains? If you are asking about prelims, we are going to have a detailed discussion on this. We are going to have a detailed discussion on this, like for science also, for current affairs also, we are going to have a detailed discussion on paper. So there we will discuss about the prelims paper, that what you should be doing, what should be the future strategy. I can say that both include took 8 to 9 minutes. So you are there. For prelims, we will discuss about the subject specifically. For mains, this is a continuous process. Like if you are, if you see last month before the break, we have taken a break of around 10 days, 8 or 9 days, sorry, 8-9 days. So before the break, I think you were all on the line. And when we are taking a break, of course, the connection and everything goes off. So this is why I always say, you have to write answers on a regular basis. You have to write answers on a regular basis, because when you are giving some break in writing answer, then you are going to lack that connectivity. You are going to lack that connectivity. So when you are in a continuous process, this is going to help you. लिखने टाइम आधा कंटेंट दिमाग से निकल जाता है. Yes, this is one part which you always face. But again, the same thing is that how you will be able to do it when you are working on a consistent basis, on a continuous basis. This is something which you have to practice. और ध्यान रखना एक चीज का कि when you are practicing for mains, this is going to sharpen your mind for prelims also. अगर आप अपने मेंस का प्रिपरेशन अच्छे से करते हो तो prelims will be much more easier, because your mind will become active. So in the next upcoming days, this is our target, that our mind has to become sharper. Our mind has to become sharper. So when you are practicing answer writing, when you are practicing the answer writing on daily basis, this will help you to sharpen your mind. And once you have sharpened your mind, then it will be a cakewalk. Then remembering the facts, going through it, it will be quite easier. So now let's start the second question. India's green transition remains incomplete. What you can do in introduction? In introduction, you can have a comparison of installed capacity versus the actual utilization. You can have a comparison of installed capacity versus actual utilization. This is something which you can do here. हाँ, जब आप लिखते हो तो खुद याद आने लगता है. तो this is what you have to do. This is what you have to do, that when you start writing, things should automatically come to your mind. ये तब होगा जब continuous basis पे आप करोगे. If you have played any game, अगर आपने कोई भी गेम खेला है continuous basis पे, you may have seen that when you are practicing on daily basis, then gradually some elements come to you. And every day when you are practicing, you might be learning something new which has not been even taught to you. When you practice, when you see it on daily basis, you might be learning something new on daily basis when you are involved in it. So this is what you have to do here also. So first you can start with comparison of installed capacity versus the actual utilization in here itself. Then you can mention that India's green transition remains incomplete. So first of all, you have to mention that what green transition is taking place. Green transition. Here you can mention about how much we have expansion in solar capacity. How much expansion has been there in solar capacity? Expansion in wind capacity, expansion in biofuels, etc. Even if you are writing 2 or 3, it's sufficient because you have 150 words only. You can mention first the green transition, how it is taking place in India. What green transition is taking place in India. Then you can come to this one part, that why it is incomplete. Why incomplete? Here you can mention that when we are talking about solar or wind, there is this lack of storage, dependency on weather. There is a dependency on weather. There is also lack of smart grids, etc. So we have seen that what challenges are there in green transition. What challenges are there in the green transition? So this is one thing. This is one thing which you can do. Then what you can also mention here after this, since you have mentioned incomplete, you can mention the solution. You have to mention the solution also, that what needs to be done. Last day we have discussed this part also, what needs to be done. The grid modernization, we have to invest in technology, we have to invest in lithium batteries. Okay, we have to decentralize this energy generation, we have to ensure the supply chain. So what needs to be done, this is something you can provide. If you want, you can make a flow chart also of this to bring more attractiveness in your answer. If you want, you can make a flow chart also of the solution. You can mention a flow chart type solution also, that what needs to be done. Then after, you can write the conclusion, where you can again try to highlight some government steps. Highlight some government schemes. This is one of the approach. Second approach can be that you can make a flow chart again. You can make a flow chart where you can give some government schemes on. In the conclusion, you can connect it. You can connect it with NDC and Sustainable Development Goals. The nationally determined contribution and sustainable development goals. So two approaches can be from here. One approach can be, you have mentioned the solution in flow chart, you can directly come to the conclusion where you can highlight some government schemes. Second approach can be, if you're having the space, if you're having the time, make a flow chart where you can highlight some of the government schemes, and then you can write the conclusion where you can connect it, with the NDC, the nationally determined contribution to the Paris Agreement, and the sustainable development goals. So this is also something which you can do. Okay. Hindi current affair की classes आज से start है. You can see in the YouTube channel also, Malik. We are resuming the classes from today. That's also good. That's also quite good, Shri Official. If you have mentioned about agreement between Sweden and India, so that is going to be one of the X factor of your answer. That is going to be something new. Okay. There was one from मैंने इसमें intro में climate change का concern लिखा है. That is also fine. That is also fine. That if you have mentioned about climate change, that is also fine. Hey, Malik, I have seen your comment. I have told you already that we are going to have the current affair classes in the Hindi channel from today itself. We could have started it last day itself, but there were some sessions which were scheduled at the same time. So that's why we could not start it last day. But from today, we are going to start that current affair session also. Okay, Malik. Now, so these were the two questions. Now let's come to the articles of the day. So here we are having two articles. One is related to Finance Commission. It is part of your GS paper 3. Okay. It is part of your GS paper 3 and even in GS paper 2. Why? It is related to economy and it is also related to federalism. So it has a connectivity in both of these topics. So there is a connectivity in both of these topics. Now, so let's start. The first part is Finance Commission transfer and equity issue. What is being said? What is the context? It is being said that the Finance Commission, it is favored. Finance Commission has favored equity more than efficiency. It has said that Finance Commission is favoring equity more than efficiency. So what is the meaning here? What is the meaning of equity and efficiency here? Finance Commission, if we look at this, Finance Commission is giving more share to states with to poor states who contribute less to GDP. And those states with better fiscal policy, plus more contribution to GDP are getting less. So here it is being said that you can understand it in a very simple language, that it is being said that the Finance Commission is giving favor to those states who are poor, those states who are suffering from poverty, those states where development is not that much. Okay. And what we see that, like, it is helping the poor states, but at the same time, it is not rewarding those states who are more physical, who are having more fiscal discipline. Those states who are having more fiscal discipline, they are not having this better share. Second thing is, there is a second point here. Union government. Second point here, this is the first point. Second point is there, using excessive cess and surcharge. This is now equal to 15% of total tax collection. So what we see, Union government is lowering tax, but increasing cess. See here. First thing is, there is a first complaint that the Finance Commission is favoring equity more than the efficiency. Second complaint is about this, that the Union government is using excessive cess and surcharge. It is equal to 15% of total tax collection. So Union government is adopting this approach. They are having lower tax but increasing cess. And what we see here, what is the concern? What is the concern here? States do not get fund from cess and surcharge. This is one part. And what we see, the Finance Commission is not asking Union to share cess and surcharge. So here we see that Union government is using excessive cess and surcharge. They are reducing the tax collection, direct tax collection or indirect tax collection. But they are collecting more in form of cess and surcharge. And this cess and surcharge is not going to the state government. So Union government is having fund, but the states are having lesser amount of fund. And especially for the developed states, the fund is getting lower. So there is a comparison also. There is a comparison also. Like if we look at this, like if we look at this states. Okay. Just 1 second. Yes. If we look at this, what we see, better performing southern states, they have lost share. Okay. And poorer northern states, they have gained large transfer. Like see this fact. Okay. Combined share of poor states, this has increased from 42.5% to 51%. So the poor states are getting more. If we compare from the 6th Finance Commission to the 15th Finance Commission, the poor states are getting more, whereas the southern states, their share has declined from 24.8% to 15.8%. So we see that the southern states who are contributing more to the GDP, those who are following a better fiscal discipline, they are getting the loss. Whereas the poorer states, they are having more and more margin. They are having more and more funds from the union. So the question is why? Why this is being done? Why? Here it has been, there is a argument. That it is because of political consideration. It is because of political consideration. North states higher seats. In Lok Sabha. They are having higher seats in Lok Sabha. Okay. So you can link it with delimitation also. If you want, you can link it with delimitation also. That the delimitation, like the one which was proposed a few months back, we have seen that a delimitation was proposed, where again the seat share of the northern states are going to increase further as compared to southern states. It would have become much more challenging. ये और ज़्यादा challenging हो जाता. Okay. So this is one thing which we see. The northern states, they are having higher seats in Lok Sabha. There is a political consideration behind this entire thing. Now, what is the loss? The loss is this. There is a reduction of incentive for fiscal discipline. There is also a discourage to revenue mobilization. The states who are getting lesser share of the tax pool, why they will be focusing on resource mobilization? Why they will be focusing on more tax collection? Okay. So this is one of the part which we have to understand. Now here, see this one thing. Compare this. Okay. If we are giving more funds to the states with poor, if we are giving more funds to the state with poverty, is it changing their spending? Is it changing their spending? So we have an example from Bihar. The health spending in Bihar is rupees 937 per person. Whereas in Arunachal Pradesh, the government spends 10,000 rupees per person. You can see the difference. You can see the difference, that why there is so much health concern in Bihar. Government is spending 937 rupees per person in Bihar on health. Whereas in Arunachal Pradesh, the share is 10,000 rupees per person. So let's talk about education. In education, if we talk about in Bihar, the government is spending 20,000 rupees per student. Whereas in Sikkim, there is expenditure of 1,30,498 per student. So here what we see, that the educational spending and the health spending, it shows that even if the poor states are getting more fund, Even if the poor states are getting more fund, then also they are not spending on social empowerment. Then also they are not spending on this social empowerment. देखो अभी मैंने थोड़ी देर पहले ही बताया, आपने लेट से ज्वाइन किया, मैंने थोड़ी देर पहले ही बताया हिंदी मीडियम क्लास विल स्टार्ट फ्रॉम टुडे एट 6. So classes in Hindi medium will start at 6 p.m. today. So this is one thing, that even if we are giving more funds to the states, it is not materializing. It is not materializing. So now the thing is that what is the what is the suggestion? What needs to be done? What needs to be done? What should be done? There is one thing, there should be performance based allocation, that if you are giving fund to any state, it should be on the basis of performance, that are they able to perform, are they able to perform or not. Second thing is, if we are looking at those states who are having a better, those states who are having better fiscal capacity or fiscal discipline, they should be rewarded. Rewarding fiscal discipline. Rewarding fiscal discipline. Okay. Funding on basis of data driven indicators. Then we have to also see this one part, that in our sharing of funds, there is a lot of focus on non-fiscal indicators. There is a lot of focus on non-fiscal indicators like population and many other criteria are there. Population is also there, then forest is also there, then all other criteria are there. So we have to rationalize. We have to rationalize the formula for sharing. We have to rationalize the formula for sharing. We have to rationalize the formula for horizontal share of fund. Like this time also, population figure is getting more and more part. There should be some incentive for economic performance also. Because at the end of the day, what do we want? We want our states to be better performing. States should be better performing. So if you are giving fund to a state which is not performing at all, what is the utility? You are wasting that money. If after giving so much fund to a state which is always being proud of being a poor state, they want a special category state because special category status because they say that they are poor. So many states are demanding that we are poor, so give us a special category. And even if you are getting a special category, what is your expenditure? What are you spending on? Why there is a lesser spending on health? Why there is a lesser spending on education? So this is one thing, how to rationalize. See, right now, if we talk about this horizontal share, it is on the basis of income distance. Income distance means distance from the national income. So if a state is having more income distance, means their per capita income is less, so they are likely to get more fund. But if a state is having a higher per capita income plus better fiscal discipline, they are getting less fund. So those states who are poor, they are being rewarded for being poor. States with poverty are being rewarded for being poor. So we can do it for 10 years, 15 years. But if the performance is not improving, then we have to change the criteria. So we have been trying the same thing. Like you can see, from the 6th Finance Commission to the 15th Finance Commission, the poor states are getting more fund and more fund. Are they able to come out of the poverty? Are they able to use their fund in a better manner? Where is the fund going? If more and more funds are being allocated to the poor states, so what are the poor states doing on that basis? And if they are not using that wisely, then we have to change the criteria. So this is one part. That is why we need to rationalize this criteria, that just on the basis of poverty, just on the basis of population, if we are giving more fund, we are having income distance as a major factor, we are having population as a major factor. So for increasing the population, states are getting fund. If a state is having more population, they are getting more fund. So they should have controlled the population in the first part itself. Now, if they are getting more fund for more population, why they would work on family planning? Why they are going to work on reducing their population or controlling their population expansion? So this is one of the part that we have to reform this criteria. Otherwise, poor states will remain poor. The poor states will remain poor until unless you change to performance-based allocation, until unless you change to data-driven indicators. So this is one of the part. Then cess and surcharge. This may be reduced or may be shared with states. So these are certain suggestions which has to be done. Yes. क्या एफसी की कोई विजिलेंस बॉडी नहीं है इस फंड के लिए? नो, देयर इज नो सच थिंग. Again the same question. We are going to start the classes from 6 p.m. today. Simply putting the point is enough, Madhumita, because if you are getting a question in 150 words, you have to just put the points. If you are getting a question in 250 words, you can elaborate. Yes, we have a CAG for that. We are having a CAG for that purpose. The CAG is looking at the fund utilization of the states, but we have not seen any such major like change in the policy despite having many CAG reports. It was the time of 2010-2005 when CAG reports were getting front page news. The CAG reports were making front page news in 2005, 2010, 2012. But nowadays, CAG reports are hidden in some corners of the newspaper. They are not given that much relevance. So while even the CAG is reporting the problem, then also it is not getting highlighted. So that is another challenge. Now, coming to the second article, India and Australia. Coming to this second article, India and Australia. So what we see here, what is the article all about? This article, first of all, it is discussing the bilateral trade. Then it is discussing the imbalance. Then it is talking about agriculture in trade policy. Here what we see, it is saying why India is hesitant. And what can be way forward. So it is discussing these major things. First, it is giving a idea about what is the bilateral trade between India and Australia. It is giving this one part, that what is the bilateral trade between India and that of Australia. Then it is discussing about this one part, that what is the imbalance in here. Then it is discussing about the agriculture in trade policy, that should it be included or not. What is India's fear with respect to inclusion of agriculture in the trade policy. Okay. Now, at the same time, what can be done also? What can be done also? That is one thing which we have to discuss here. So let's see this one by one. First of all, if we look at this, the trade. What is the trade relation between India and Australia? So we are having a bilateral trade. If we look at this, this has increased from $12 billion to $24 billion in the last 4 years. Okay. If we look at this, just look at the figure. This increase has been from $12 billion in financial year 2020-21 to $24 billion in just 4 years. You can see doubled. This has doubled in 4 years. Here we see that 2/3 of bilateral trade consists of Australian exports. So Australia is getting more benefit here. Their exports are much more higher. Our exports are on the lower side. Okay. So here we see that the 2/3 of bilateral trade, it is about the Australian export. Okay. Even bilateral service trade is at around 10 billion. And Australia's higher education sector forms a major share in this. So here we see that in case of bilateral merchandise trade also, means goods trade, this is about the trade in goods. This is about the trade in goods, and this is about the services. So overall, we are having a improving relations with Australia in terms of trade, but what we see that this is largely in favor of Australia. This is largely in favor of Australia. That is one of the major part which you have to see. At the same time, if you look at this, even the investment, Indian investment in Australia is around $32 billion. Whereas Australian FDI in India is just around $18 billion. So when we talk about trade in goods, trade in services and investment, these are the three criterias: goods, services and investment. And in all three sections, goods also, services also and investment also, we see that Australia is getting more benefit. Indian export is not getting the same benefit. It is not getting the same share. So there is an imbalance in the trade. There is an imbalance in the trade which you can witness from here. Now come to this one part. At the same time, what we see that like Australia is seeking inclusion of agricultural products also in the trade policy. So here we see that Australia, this is seeking inclusion of agri products in trade deal. So this one wants inclusion of the agri products in trade deal. But India is hesitant. Okay. But what we see that India, if we look at this, we do not want it. There is a hesitation. There is a hesitation. Why we are hesitating? Why we are hesitating to include the agricultural products in our trade deal? Why we cannot do this? Why we cannot go for this? See, 50% people depend on agriculture. What we see that 50% population agriculture dependent. This is one part. Plus agriculture in India is it profitable? If we talk about Indian agriculture, is it profitable? Is it competitive? What we see that in this case, we see that the profit is quite low, competitiveness is quite low. So what we see that the agriculture in India, this is something which is not profitable, and at the same time they are not competitive. So they are very small and vulnerable. If we look at this, small and vulnerable. If we look at this, this is quite small and vulnerable. Our agriculture has remained small and vulnerable. So see about this. Just to give you a comparison here. If we talk about India, our average farm size is 0.73 hectare. Look at Australia, their average farm size is 1400 hectares. 1400 hectares. Look at this one part. Agriculture contributes 16% to GDP. And their agriculture contributes only 2.5% of GDP, and still it is very competitive. Okay. What we see that agriculture, this is the livelihood sector, whereas there the agriculture is export industry. Their agriculture is export industry, our agriculture is a livelihood matter. So why we are hesitant to include agriculture with any country in the world? Think about this. India is said that India is a country of farmers. It is always said that यह किसानों का देश है. And still, after being a country of farmers, we are not able to compete with any country in the world with respect to farming. It is being said that India is a country of agriculture, or India is a land of farmers, and still we are not able to compete with any country in the world with respect to agriculture. So think about this, like how our production is, how our agriculture is. In case of our agriculture, we see that Indian agriculture, this is facing monsoon uncertainty. This is facing this monsoon uncertainty. What we see, there is also fragmented land holdings. There is fragmented land holdings. Then we also see that there is also the climate risk, state of indebtedness, poor farmers. In India, farmers have been associated with mainly being poor. 50% of farmers in India are in the state of debt. 50% of farmers in India are in state of debt. They are not having the capital to get good quality of seeds, having better quality of irrigation and everything. Yes, soil quality is also depreciating. soil quality is also degrading, environment is degrading, irrigation is becoming costly. So we see that agriculture in India, despite being a land of agriculture, we are able to compete with no one in the world on agriculture. So this is the reality of Indian agriculture. Now, so if Australia wants a deal with India, what can be the deal about? India-Australia deal. India-Australia deal on agriculture. It should include this one part. What should be included? Okay. There should be precision farming technology. There should be a precision farming technology. There should be a deal on precision farming technology. There can be a deal on cold chain infrastructure. There can be a deal on cold chain infrastructure. There can also be water management expertise. Water management expertise. This is something which can be done. Then we see climate adaptation. Climate adaptation practices. So these all things can be included. These all things can be included in our agriculture. Just to give you one point, India loses around 15 to 35% of agricultural output because of pest, disease and post-harvest inefficiency. Okay. If we look at this, India loses 15 to 35% of agri output due to pests, disease and post-harvest losses. So our post-harvest loss is also quite high. So it's not that we are not producing. Sometimes we are producing and around 15 to 35% of it is lost. Why? Because we are not having sufficient cold chains. We are not having cold chain infrastructures. That is why we are losing around 15 to 35% of agricultural output. In fruits and vegetables, the loss is very high. In case of fruits and vegetables also, the loss is quite high. The population is at a high peak and it cannot compete the basis fulfillment of people. How we can uplift the agriculture sector towards other countries? Why the farmers of Punjab, Haryana are better off than Bihar, West Bengal, Odisha, Maharashtra farmers? Okay. Let me give you one thing. See, first of all, what needs to change? There should be change in diet pattern. What we see that people are consuming what? Wheat and rice. People are consuming what? Wheat and rice. And these are not very much like beneficial crops for farmers, for landlords. Wheat and rice, this has to change. We need to change our food pattern. We need to change our diet pattern. In our homes, there is a general belief, if we are not eating rice, if we are not eating rice, if we are not eating wheat, then our food is in. हमारे घरों में ऐसा होता है ना कि कई लोगों के घर में रोटी जब तक नहीं खाई तब तक खाना कम, कई लोगों के घर में होगा जब तक चावल नहीं खाया तब तक कंप्लीट नहीं हुआ. So we need to change our diet pattern. Second thing, we need to go for crop diversification. जब ये होगा, then there will be crop diversification. we need a of cadre of workers or cadre of agricultural graduates for guiding farmers at panchayat level. And there should be a evaluation of this, a performance evaluation. There should be a performance evaluation of this. We need to have a new category of people. We need some agricultural graduates. They're having many now. So they should be employed on a contractual basis at ground level, at the panchayat level. And there should be a proper estimation of this, how much change they are able to bring at panchayat level. If they are able to bring change, they should get incentive for it. They should be incentivized for it. And even if it is done for 5 years, there will be a massive change in agricultural profile of India. There will be a massive change in agricultural profile of India. So we need to change our agriculture. Our agriculture is something which has become like just wheat and rice, pulses and anything. Okay. Yes, BSc agriculture, they have to be trained. They have to be trained and then they have to be employed. If they have done BSc in agriculture, what was the purpose there? Why the government is having a BSc agriculture if we are not utilizing it? They should be trained for it. They should be given training and then they should be sent to the field. They should be employed in the same manner like we are having many officials. In the same manner, they should be employed at ground level. At ward level, there can be one person. Per ward also, there can be one person who is employed there. So think about this. How many employment will be there? How much change will be there at the ground level? Yes, we can have a diploma in organic farming and then people can be employed for this. So this is what we have to do. Okay. So that will be all. There is an initiative, India-Australia Smart Farm Network Initiative. So this is something which is working on agriculture technology exchange, innovation and research, capacity building, startup and industry connect, and sustainable agriculture. So we need to focus on this one. India-Australia Smart Farm Network Initiative. This is something which can be promoted more and more. We need to promote initiatives like this. It can help in better relations also and better agriculture also. So that will be all. We have 2 questions here also. आपके पास 2 question also है. India-Australia relations can be improved by focusing on mutual strength and weakness. Okay, comment. The Finance Commission needs to balance efficiency and equity in its recommendation to incentivize the states and ensuring prudent fiscal policy. Discuss. So this is one thing which you have to write in 250 words. This is something which you have to write in 150 words. So can you write it? Editorials are always critical. They give you perspective. They are giving you the perspective. You are getting news. But sir, they study and go to abroad to serve and earn income there. This also be the reason. About whom? If we are having agriculture graduates, if they are going outside also, there is no problem. But suppose that if a person is getting job, a good job with a good salary near their house, no one will go outside. Remember this one part, Remember this one part. If someone is getting a good job near their home, in their own village, in town, very few people will like to go outside. So that is also one of the part. People are getting job near their house, people will. It's not easy to locate or to work in a different city. It's quite challenging. So that will be all. Okay. Okay. So let's meet then tomorrow. And then tomorrow we will discuss more editorials. Okay, everyone. And no, it's like let me tell you one simple thing. The official. When we are in our own country, when we are in our own state or in our own town, there may be problems, but do understand this is the best place you can be. This is the best place where you can be. When you go outside, you will realize, yes, you want to come back, you want to go back to the same area. So when you go outside, you will always feel that let's go back to home, where you will meet people who are belonging to you. Okay. Yes. Yes, Firoz, please ask your question. Yeah, I'm waiting for you. You always find good in what situation? No, it's not that it is only worst situation. There is something good, something bad everywhere. Prelims exam अच्छा नहीं हुआ है. First of all, how much score you are expecting? How much score you are expecting? If there is 70 plus, start preparing for main. अगर 70 plus आ रहा है तो mains की तैयारी करो. If not, still you have to prepare for mains first. In the next 2 to 3 months, I will suggest you that along with mains, you can prepare prelims. Like, yes, let me discuss about this. Just to give you a one part. If your score is greater than 70, prepare mains. Start with optional, ethics, and essay, or optional, ethics, and can start with GS paper 1. Can start with these three: optional, ethics, and GS paper 1. If the score is less than also, if the score is less than 70 also, now you have two parts: mains plus prelims. Mains and prelims. You can start with optional. You can start with history, geography. You can start with core areas of polity. Then some part of like some concepts of economy, essay. This is something which you can start. And in the prelims, again, you may have realized what was your main weak point. What were your subjects which were on the weaker side? So here what you have to do, you have to consolidate your knowledge once again. Okay. Consolidation of knowledge. Consolidation of knowledge. So what you have to do, start again with polity, economy, geography, history. This should be your target for 2 months. अभी आप उस लेवल पे हो. If you have appeared in prelims this year, if you have appeared in the prelims examination this year, I think you are in that position where you can cover these 4 subjects within 2 months. So June and July. If your score is less than 70, I will suggest you. If your score is more than 70, then you should prepare for mains exhaustively. This is for the next 20 days. This is for the next 20 days. Within 20 days, you will get the result. Within 20 days, you are going to get the result. If the result is positive, continue this. Continue with other papers. If the result is otherwise, then stick to this one. If the result is otherwise, then you can stick to this plan. Okay. This year, the cutoff, if you ask me, for prelims 2025, this year, the cutoff may be 85, or you can say 80 plus minus 5. This year, the cutoff may be 80 plus minus 5. So, this may be the cutoff. It may go somewhat higher or lower, but 80 plus minus 5, this may be the expected cutoff. Okay. So, that will be all for today. Thank you, everyone. Let's meet tomorrow. You have to practice the answer also. I have given you the question. You have to practice the answer, and then let's meet tomorrow. We will discuss these questions and discuss new editorials. Thank you, everyone. Take care. All the best. Thank you.